Welcome back to the Low APM Challenge. It's been a bit, especially as Zerg. We got a new season. We've got a new exciting meta. And we've got new ladder bugs. But those aren't the kind of bugs we're going to be focusing on today. We're back to the Low APM Challenge with probably the most difficult race to minimize. It's Zerg. Zerg just so much different than anything you've seen before. In RTS games and in StarCraft, if so many players just start as Terran. Almost 50% of the Bronze and Silver League are Terrans. Zerg is barely over half that, so if you're just starting here, you can start at the Bronze, or you can watch this fine as well. Just remember there is a more basic edition earlier on where we've gone over many of these different things here. But no matter which type of Zerg you are, there are still some basic things, and these are not, we're not just going to ignore all this, we're just going to bring it all together. We should be, in this new season, starting around low diamond, high plat, something like that. Focusing on queens, lava, and creep. Everybody knows queens, the top tier unit. Hatchery hotkeys and how to do them, just essentially grouping them all together, that's how I prefer it. But using camera locations and stuff like that to manage injects. And avoiding bad habits, like building Zerglings for the sake of it, creep spreading instead of spending your money, essentially focusing on things that aren't going to have that long-term payoff. Another important part, basic scouting. Where do your overlords go? It's a new season, but the same overlord methodology still applies. First overlord usually goes across the map against Terran and Protoss. Second overlord stays a little closer to home. Third overlord covers the other angles. Against Zerg, you scout for their first and their third base, then you have a backup. But against Zerg, you can kind of just have your overlords hanging out, as you know, Zerg doesn't have much anti-air in the early game. And of course, mechanics being everything. More than Terran or Protoss, it's about how many units you can put on the field in a relatively timely manner, rather than exactly where and what those units are. Now, we're going to be focusing more on Hydras, and yes, Lings and Banes, which is just naturally a pretty high APM style. This is a bit of a difference from the previous low APM challenge where we did Roach, Hydra, Viper. Vipers are still going to play a key role, but honestly, nowadays, especially in the higher leagues, Roach, Hydra doesn't cut it anymore. Players are just a little bit too good at defending for long enough or covering their bases, partially because of all these guides. You need something a little bit with a little bit more potential, and Hydra, Bane into Lurker is going to be the order of the day against Terran and Protoss, and maybe with some Roach timing scattered in there. And against Zerg, well, Zerg is still going to be Roaches. Roaches into Mutas. But hopefully this helps you out, and if it doesn't, it at least keeps you edutained. So thank you for watching the Low APM Challenge. Like, subscribe, you're allowed to sleep now. Otherwise, for the rest of you, we're getting into the games. Map Vetoes. So I got some strong feelings as a Zerg player in this new map pool. First, we're going to veto Moondance. Moondance has essentially a free pocket third for Protoss and Terran, as well as it doesn't have a pervert pillar near the natural. It is just quite difficult to play it as Zerg, I find, and requires a whole different thought process. So I just straight up veto that. Some arguable vetoes include Inside and Out, which is quite difficult to challenge 4 bases from Terran or Protoss. Waterfall is a relatively small map, so you got to be ready for rushes, but it also has a nice lot of open space to work with, so I don't veto it as Zerg. Stargazers is another pocket-based map. If you're really, like, you want to just focus on one build, I'd veto this, but really the only strong veto for me is Moondance right now, so. And because everyone's gotten so much better, and this year, last year the APMs were lower, but this year they've raised. And honestly, this series is supposed to be education. It's not just supposed to be a challenge. Maybe at some point we do the lowest APM challenge. But the idea is to get everything you need to get done without any extra or spam or overdoing the micro or whatever. That means in Plat 120, Diamond 135, Diamond 2 150, Diamond 1 169 APM, which sounds high, but just the sheer amount of APM that Zerg players need just to build overlords, creep tumors, inject their hatcheries, it's a lot. And that is still below the average of those particular leagues.
No minerals for that.
Well, Zerg versus Protoss. Setting my camera locations there. So on Stargazers, there's that pocket base. Key point. The pocket base has 2 5 mineral or 10 mineral patches. Drones and every worker mines 5 minerals a trip. So what that means is it takes 4 worker trips to deal with that. But I'm not going to be taking that base maybe until much later on. It's a liability. A Zerg tank pushes, warp prisms, drop, Stargate, battle cruiser, what have you. It's a liability. Maybe if I end up deciding on Mutalisks or something, we go for that. But overall, I do not like taking that base to Zerg. And that's why I said, like, maybe a veto. Is the limit average or peak? It is average, because literally clicking 3 times in the same spot will put your APM instantaneously above 120. Okay, 6 times. There you go. Depends on how fast you click, right? And since we're getting up towards Diamond, we're going to be getting a lot closer to relatively pro builds, aka like learning from people like Cyril or Dark, as opposed to just intentionally avoiding slightly more micro-intensive styles. And that means I'm going to be going for Zergling speed relatively early, which gives me options to shut down Adepts and potentially pressure a 3rd base, as Protoss have gotten pretty greedy nowadays with those 3rds. So there is no pervert pillar here for the Overlord to hang out on. So there's 2 options. He may have taken the pocket base, which I'm going to send my 2nd Overlord that way. Usually the 2nd Overlord hangs out at the natural in order to scout for cannon rushes. And other shenanigans, mostly cannon rushes. Because if they're going to cannon rush, you know they're going to do it probably by your base, so... Otherwise, not a cannon rush so much as just artistic cannon placement.
Hatchery cooked up a fresh queen for you.
So, right now, I don't know what he's doing. But... if he's not taking that back base, the summary is, don't know what he's doing? Build queens.
Queen is ready.
That's what we're doing. Just keep building queens. That's what you do. Could it be multiple Adepts? Queens. Stargate? Queens. There's an Adept. There's a Twilight. Another gate. So... this Overlord is going to give me the information here. I'm getting a Roach Warren as part of a potential wall-off. And we're going to need OVs to be back here. So it's 1 base. Alright, that is very important to note. So it's either DTs or Adepts. I'm making 5 sets of Zerglings, and I'm just going to look for pylons. I'm going to say, like, maybe... if he, it's probably DTs, but either way. But since I know for sure he has not expanded, I'm just going to try to narrow down the options here. Get a little more gas. Get up to like 36 drones, which is more economy than he has. Is there a pylon in my base? Is that possible? There was a probe. No, I killed the probe. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yeah. Killed the probe. I'm not crazy. So the reason I'm bothering with this wall off is to potentially just straight up block adepts. That's the intent here, if possible. We're gonna get an overseer. Yeah, and it looks like that's what we need to do.
More Vespine getting.
Or charge lots in this case. Ooh. Let them use their charges there, and then go for it.
More gas.
Try to back off with this. I'm actually going to put these behind the mineral line. Transfuse. So this base is going to die. I'm not going to use the hotkeys on it anymore.
Queen ready.
Keep building queens. Sorry, base. But as much time as I can buy here. Because remember, he's on one base. I'm going to spread creep as well.
You need more gas.
We're going to transfuse the roach horn as much as we can here. Probably going to end up losing it, to be honest. Make sure those roaches are nice and jammed up. We got the spine crawlers finishing. If I can make even one Ravager here. The Ravager cocoons have a ton of armor. So if you can build those in time.
More gas. More Vespine gas.
Oof. Ravagers are not particularly great at dealing with charge lots, though, so... Oh my god, it just has this! He's building stalkers now. In fact, I can't actually fight those, so... We're gonna bring the spines down here.
You took all the... You must construct. The enemy is attacking your swarm.
I'm gonna take... This is the time to take the pocket base now, by the way. Those zealots are not warping in particularly quick because there's not a super pylon yet. Just finished though.
A new queen is ready. Insufficient energy.
We're making some more Zerglings in here.
Mineral patch is gone, and it's not coming back.
But I now have the numbers. We're gonna put the Overseer into oversight mode. And he's on one base, so we managed to hold it. That was a lot. I didn't even think of charge, honestly. Did not think of charge lots. Because nobody goes just straight up charge lots at a higher level. But
still in the game? Nice.
it's okay. We're gonna go ahead and get a Spire as the follow-up. And I usually wouldn't do this, but that's kind of like the default. In this case, it is the... That's how I win the game. Is eventually we show up with Mutas.
Your brood is under attack.
And I mean, if he tries to expand, we're heading out on the map, of course. This is a case where roaches are definitely fine for the situation. A lot of the times you don't want mass roach just because immortals and archons and even stalkers are pretty good against them, but they're very good at just hammering the point home. Making a few overlords here. Is that enough stalker? I'm kind of committed here, so gonna move in. Just get the base. No cancel. So there's always a tiny chance he... We're gonna make sure he doesn't have any of those other bases here. Control. Creep spread. He always could have taken like the gold or something. So...
More gas. How many guys is that one out of 3?
Well, how long is he? He's actually starting to mine it out, so that's not ideal. I'm gonna get a Hydra Den now. Now, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna send the Mutas to the main. He's going to either panic or he's going to just try to attack in. And then I build the Hydras to counter the Stalkers he counterattacks with. So let's see. He just uses recall, so that's a very key point of all this. He has the batteries at the front. Oh. I said they were the game ender. Did I even get close to 120? No. 137. We're Plat 1, too. Of course, defending against all-ins. Especially things like charge lots, which are... They require a lot more micro than they dish out, but that's an excuse. Alright. So for every 5 I go over, this is like if for those who want to tune in live, and you want a free sub, pretty much, tune in during the Zerg low APM challenge, because the Zerg is by far the easiest to, because of how Zerg production works, and that's why also a lot of people struggle with Zerg, is because Zerg production can either be one set of Zerglings or 25. Like, it's not like Terran or Protoss, or especially Terran, where it's like Marine, Marine, Marine. You can only build so many Marines at a time. Barracks can only build so many Marines, right? So, yeah, I want to see Winter so calm in a TVT. So you know there's a Terran version of this whole series, right? And in fact, TVT is like half of the games, especially up until like Diamond or so. But it is time for Zerg versus Zerg. Everyone's favorite coin flip. No. First Overlord will be heading towards his natural. Second Overlord is heading towards the linear third. He might take the other third, but the idea is if the first Overlord gets pushed out, the second Ovi will cover the other angles. You can pretty much always, with no exception, cover all the angles Zerglings could come out without being particularly vulnerable to Queens. So, like, if I put an Ovi here, I can see this angle. Another Ovi here, I see that one. Like, I don't even have to be that close to the ramp. Because Zerglings can't fly, despite their best efforts. And neither can Queens. So. Another Ovi. This one's going to be further back as like a backup. Usually I like to put it just near the center, and it kind of fills in the gaps when the other Overlords get pushed out. No gas yet. We're doing a 2-base Roach timing. Let's see. So I would have read into, like, I haven't seen a second Ovi, but he just didn't move his out, so... Yeah, this Ovi on this corner. And then, as we start getting, I need to get another Overlord here, and this one's going to be real close to my base. Yeah, you come up a little. You need to make sure you have vision of all the potential angles. $240, reverse 420 with the gases. Is that like the set timing? No, it seems about right. I'm gonna move this Ovi up a little. I need to see if he's taking that third. That's the important info here.
Your brood is under attack.
I Let's see. Baneling nest, Zergling speed. So, I'm going to wall this off. And you can actually use the Protoss wall guide.
Not enough energy.
I showed, for those of you who are watching, I showed you the Protoss low APM challenge.
Queen's all
You
done.
can use the exact
choice.
same setup to work with
Can't
queens
build
here.
there.
Assuming, and then you can just have a queen in the wall.
Brood under attack. Panic time.
Like so. Because the buildings are the same size, so. Try to get behind this overlord. That queen decided she wasn't in on that idea.
Needs more energy. This
She
game
didn't
is
get
tired.
paid off, so. But that's. Ah! Oh, the other queen disagreed strongly. Jesus.
Need more minerals.
Heal her. I don't care. Get over it. I don't care what she said. We're going to 44 drones. One more. There we are. And then one for a third. And then make some roaches. Pretty much all my larvae that isn't overlords will go into roaches for now. Gonna move out with the queens and a single zergling. And as I'm building the roaches and I get the money, we're getting another base.
Not enough minerals. Are you saturated yet? Try placing that on creep. Bet again, but with creep this time.
Spread out the
No minerals.
OVs a little bit, but overall, not a huge difference. Move this OV back.
Your brood needs friends. More overlords, please.
I'm gonna get a single Ravager with this. We got speed finishing, so before I move out, I need to get all the housekeeping done. Need a few more OVs, need a few more roaches. In fact, I'm just gonna get a couple Ravagers here. I'm gonna start a little bit of creep, and
All done
we're gonna
evolving.
attack.
For now.
He has one roach.
Mutation finished. Yeah.
And we're gonna keep building roaches until I figure out whether it's going to be a real later game strat, because I don't want to lose momentum. I should
enough
have
minerals.
faster
Are you
+1 attack,
saturated yet?
which is a huge upgrade. There's a chance he goes mutas here, because that's a lot of gas. When I see that many, like when I see 2 gas at this base,
The enemy is attacking your
I'm already suspicious. We can just fight here. I mean, I have more roaches, so. Use those corrosive biles. They're mostly for forcing him to micro, but he got a lot of gas. He just kind of defaulted to mining the gas that base, it seems, as opposed to thinking about why. Now we go up here. And if he doesn't have a spire on the way, I'm not exactly sure what we're looking at here. This does, like, you do have to kind of make a judgment call of whether you're going to be able to end the game or you need to transition. But essentially, if you get to his base and you're about even, there's no like, you got to check the upgrade. I didn't actually check the upgrades. I assume he had, yeah, he did not have +1. +1 means
This is an
roaches
alert.
take 1 or 2 less attack to kill other roaches, which means if you have like a 2 or 3 roach advantage, that quickly becomes like a 10 roach advantage. Yeah, it was real odd. He just kind of like, this is the sign, if you've ever watched Angry Coach, of an advanced platinum low diamond Zerg here. He's kind of like Well, I got a third. I've got all this gas, and eventually I'll find a way to spend it. Now, you gotta have a focus, you gotta have a goal. Especially because drones are costly. Drones cost larvae, and drones, when they become buildings, they don't get them back. You have to use another larva to actually gather resources. So, the cost of an extractor is not 75 minerals, it's 125 minerals, plus another 50 to 60 minerals a minute. So, if you make an extractor and then don't use it for 3 minutes, you've wasted a couple hundred minerals, at least. Wait, I'm sorry, 75 minerals plus 50 or 60. It's 25 for the extractor, 50 for the drone, and then at least one larva, let alone whatever you need to replace it with to actually mine from the extractor. Did we do it? We did it! 109. Wait, am I not diamond? Oh, we're diamond in the next game. So then we go up to 135, which is a little bit closer to keeping track of everything in the mid-game. And you know what? Just for consistency's sake, I'm vetoing Stargazers. That first game already made me salty. Are the league ranges still screwed up? The MMR still works. Matchmaking still works. The literal only thing that doesn't work is the actual leagues themselves. But you can see them, the MMR ranks command on stream. Yeah, so bronze covers everything up to about platinum because Bobby didn't set the database right or something. It was the same bug we had last season that eventually got fixed, though apparently he forgot to actually press the save button. He just assumed it was auto-saved, but it's actually on a Windows Me computer in the basement connected with a, I don't know, an Ethernet cable to a server, like a 512 megabyte server that only takes floppy disks, which then have to be run upstairs through 14 different other, like, bureaucratic oversight committees in order to be installed into the main BattleNet computer frame. And I assume whoever was working on the current SC2 ranking also did the new Warcraft 3 Reforged ranking, which is, and just cover your ears, small children or the equivalent, so most of the Twitch chat. So it's fucked. After 2.5 years, they have a ranking system in Warcraft 3 Reforged, and it's just broken. It doesn't work. So maybe in another 2.5 years they'll figure out how to fix it. Yeah. Make sure to play StarCraft, because since it's clear Blizzard doesn't want to spend any money on these games, the more you play them, the more they have to spend at least some maintenance costs. So it's actually... I mean... Stormgate next year, maybe? But for now, I still love playing StarCraft. Even if I get frustrated, even if I get salty, it's still the best. Because it's way better than the rest. When it's not the best, you'll know, I'll tell you. I'm the expert. I like to think so. Alright, so that reverse 420, the 240, is when I've decided this is the build we're doing. We're doing the 240 gas build thing.
Hatchery cooked up a fresh queen for you. Queen ready. Brenda's ready.
Alright, get those queens on the ramp. We're just doing that to pretend like we got a real strategy thing going on. You
Swarm.
shall not pass. Let's take a look over here.
The enemy is attacking your swarm.
So he does have... He's not going for Zergling speed,
Spawn more overlords.
which is interesting.
Your new queen. Brenda's here.
The
Disappointing.
spawning pool was actually not having the little seizure it usually does when things are upgrading, so... Huh.
More overlords. More happy Zerg.
I did, in my pontificating, forget to make overlords, though. So, that was less than ideal. It means he's probably going straight for there, but so am I. We're gonna go straight up to 44.
You must place that on creep.
Just noticed your voice as the in-game voice. I'm actually very proud of my announcer pack. I put a ton of work into it. There are 270 lines. Well, actually, I wrote probably 50% more than that, but you can only have so many in the game. And Blizzard paid me straight up way more than I would have made even if tens of thousands of you bought the announcer pack. So, not only... Essentially, I'm nearly certain Blizzard lost money on it, unless I'm way more popular than I realized. But I'm pretty proud of it. And I always have that. Like, even if everyone watching this and everyone watching the video went and bought, well, maybe not if every single person watching the video went optimistically. But, so, on the bright side.
Spawn more overlords.
No, maybe I should tell me to spawn more overlords before I need them. That is something I like from Age of Empires as well. Is it actually gives you a sound like a warning when you're kind of close to being supply blocked. Like it has like, yo. So there's a little more leeway on it, which I think is fine. Like that doesn't affect the top players who shouldn't be getting supply blocked, but it helps out, you know, the more noobs. Yeah, I mean, that's just part of SC2 being... And SC1 being just difficult, but...
No more from there, my slimy friend.
Fun games. But it's not easy. The game is not easy. Playing Zerg, especially, if you've never played at RTS before, well, you really shouldn't be this far into the video. So, you should have gone back to the bronze one. Literally, bronze one.
All done evolving. For now, anyway. Mutation.
So, he has a bunch of roaches. Alright, so there were two options. It was either like a muted timing or a bunch of roaches. He has +1 done. Does he have more roaches than me? Because you don't really want to disengage if you don't have to, but I do have to. So we build as many roaches as possible. I have a third on the way. He does not. He's going to attack. I'm going to start adding in Hydras. Which, if you have enough roaches in play, this is a Roach Hydra scenario. Technically, it's a Roach Ravager scenario, but we're not relying on Ravagers. Yeah, that's a good concave for me. This reminds me of getting Overlord over here. And I'll get some more drones now, because it's clear he's backing off. I'm gonna get +1 Carapace.
Not enough energy.
Just enough creep. So this is one of those, like, is it worth it to creep spread in ZVZ? And the answer is, for Vision, I think yes.
A mineral
Like,
has been depleted.
creeping in ZVZ, the only time you might not want to creep is if you're going Mutas and they're going Hydras. Like, that is the scenario, because in that scenario, they are... Yeah, we're going to move those Hydras back a little here. They do way more damage. They are able to close the distance, and Mutas don't benefit. Well, this was a huge mistake from him.
Your swarm is now bigger and broodier.
Does he have +1 yeah, he has +1 carapace, but that doesn't carry you through that number. Carapace is good, but not as good as the attack upgrade. Like, it isn't a deal breaker. Attack upgrades are a huge game changer. Especially in ZVZs, because attack upgrades usually scale. They usually add more damage than 1, whereas Carapace only adds 1. So against, like, maybe Zergling or Muta compositions, having Carapace upgrades can be a big deal. But against Roach Hydra, they all, like, those units already hit pretty hard. So having a couple Carapace upgrades is not going to make a huge difference.
Need more minerals.
Does he have +2? He does, but so do I. This is a horrible fight for him.
Your Zerg have evolved.
Took him a bit to figure it out, but he's fighting up into the high ground without any advantages, so.
You took all the minerals from that cluster, you thief.
Get the infestation pit. I win this fight because I just have more damage. Yeah, Carapace specifically is good for Sizzlings and Forlings. And there we are. We're now Diamond League across the board in the low APM challenge. And I'll admit that Diamond League is a lot more difficult than it was even a couple years ago. Partially because of all the rank issues, and partially just because people have gotten better. So we stayed under that goal of 120. And now the goal gets raised to 135 in the Diamond League. So, once again, it is because I think especially, might be partially your fault it's harder. Yeah, there's a lot more people making guides, tutorials, just basic things. And also, there are not that many new players. There's a lot of returning players who are building on good or bad foundations, but they're building on something. There's not a ton of new players to SC2, but if you are new, thank you. And welcome. But it's not easy. It was never easy. It's not getting any easier. So. But yeah. Well. And that's why I kind of changed it up from the original low APM challenge. Like, we need the spellcasters, we need to focus on certain builds. Macro no longer gets you to Masters. It'll get you to Diamond. But I don't think just straight up A move macro will get you to Masters. At least very efficiently. I mean, of course you can build enough units and eventually you'll get there, but it is a marked difference from years ago.
I'm sure this one will be better.
All right, Protoss. There are a couple different schools of thought for both Protoss and Zerg in this matchup. Protoss really has a lot of the initiative. Assuming you don't want to do a Sword of All-In as Zerg. You have the hero style, the Golden Swarm. You've got the like Oracle into Gateway action, which is gained a lot of popularity, especially as you get towards the higher ranks. And then you have the Sky Toss, the classic. And of course you still have the things like 2-base charge lot all-ins. Those are always there, always will be. But when it comes to just general styles.
You got no
and
Good job,
I'll be honest, like, here's your disclaimer. I straight up lose to Sky Toss and Diamond. Like, no matter how much APM I have. I struggle. I don't think it's necessarily an imbalance thing. I have I'm not a late game player. I'm a mid game player. I most of my games, especially my highest win rate, is when I'm playing, like between 120 and 190 supply. When you have enough to attack in multiple angles or keep reinforcing, but not when we're kind of hunkered down into a more stalemate. I'm always working on getting better, but it is a difficult mindset to get into if you're not used to it. So I encourage newer players to not try to avoid the late game. I think it's more important to just, like, create good habits early than to try to avoid them. Otherwise, you end up like me, fearing change. Because I played so mid-game for so long that I kind of get frustrated, and I try to actively avoid the late game, which ends up making it harder to actually play it in the long term. So I'm going to put this first Overlord and just watch for those 2 more gases. We're going to pull out of my gas and get Zergling speed and get my 3rd base momentarily.
Queen's all done. Good choice.
He walled off kind of weird. There's technically a pervert pillar there, but he can just hit it from the high ground, so. He built a Zealot, but we're just going to go in, give it a once around here.
You engage the enemy. No minerals for that.
So, first thing we notice is he does not have a 2nd gas. Alright. He is building out of a bunch of different gates. I don't see a Twilight Council either.
More overlords.
And he's chrono boosting Warp Gate. So he doesn't have too many options here.
Not enough minerals. Are you saturated yet?
This is going to leave him with gateway units, and that's about it. Now I'm just going to shift right click here. Alright, so I'm not going to bother trying to wall off against this. I'm going to build some Zerglings. This is kind of like the last ZVP we played there. Going to continue building Queens. He physically does not have enough gas to get DTs. So I'm not worried about that. And I did not see a Twilight. That's not saying he couldn't proxy it. I'm just... He literally cannot mine enough gas on 1 gas to get Warp Gate, like a Stalker or 2, and DTs. It's just not a threat. I'm scouring the map to see if there are any proxy pylons here.
The enemy is attacking your spawn.
And then he just kind of shows up at the front with 2 Stalkers. So, okay. We're gonna right-click, A-click. Okay. Alright then. We'll patrol a Zergling on these angles. We're gonna get a single... I'm gonna get an Evo Chamber, and now I'm gonna get Spores. Because now the bets are kind of off. Rally. 2 more gas. I've got the Roach one done. He's taking a 3rd. We're gonna send this Ovian. I'm gonna build 5 more, which sounds like a lot, but getting +1 ranged, and it looks like we're doing Roaches again. 1, 2, 3, shift, click. Because this is the time. How many? I want to go to about 55 drones here. 55. Oh god, I'm old.
Brood under attack. Panic time.
He's got a Robo. I take it back. This is a Hydra's game. There's no reason for me to risk. So the big threats. Warp Prism. He's got a Robo. Alright, so.
A new queen is ready.
I'm gonna get a couple spine crawlers in my main base. Because a Warp Prism and anything in the main This is probably overly defensive, but... Get one Overseer. Get Hydra range. Usually range is better defensively, and I don't really plan on attacking quite yet. One Ovi in this corner. I'm actually gonna activate the creep drop, and they'll eventually get there to the other side of the map. I'm making Hydras when I have the gas, and I'm making drones with my minerals right now.
Evolution complete.
Gonna get another base. Gonna get a macro hatch.
Mineral field depleted.
Gonna get a baneling nest, an evolution chamber. So there's one big risk here, which is if he actually goes for Colossi.
Your brood's
We're gonna
strong
take down all the
You, on the
rocks,
other hand,
which are just likely to get in
Need
the
some
way.
in that place first. More Vespine gas.
A bunch more overlords here. I'm gonna control click them from the eggs and then rally them to a safe location so they don't just wander out to the front where they're vulnerable.
All done evolving. For now.
We're getting overlord speed. Gonna
You're almost
mine
got
this
that
gas.
field.
Gonna go to 72 drones. There's a prism. Bring the queens back. Rally my hatches. Just some creep at the fronts. Making more hydras.
You can't do your disgusting morph there.
Hydra speed. I forget it way too much. We're gonna scout it and see if I'm missing something important here. Which isn't unlikely.
That's an evolution complete.
+1 melee attack. Double Robo Colossus. So,
Need more energy.
yeah, that does seem like something important. I'm gonna take down these rocks at the front. We're gonna start a spire. And from this point, really, we're probably gonna rely more on roaches. Just a bunch of drones here. More gas. So the key is not to take a bad fight. I know.
Insufficient
Hashtag
to
wisdom.
all the minerals from that cluster, you
But
thief.
he's already got the Colossi. I waited quite a while, so we're not going to bother
All
too
done
much here.
evolving. For now, anyway.
My best option is to just reinforce, get a hive, get a lurker
No
den.
more.
I have, like I said, I don't like the late game, but this is one of those. Like, we're going there. It's happening. Either I get with it, or I go against the grain. So. No, he's microing a prism. I'm gonna hotkey 5 corruptors that can deal with the prism,
Mutation finished.
or they can help with the colossi. Either way, the corruptors aren't gonna be horrible. A late game option can be as 1/1 upgrades, which are not incredible. I've got a lurker den done. I'm just gonna make some of those immediately into lurkers. Not going over 80 drones. A big risk against Protoss is just not having enough army. Just straight up.
Your brood is under attack.
Because if you go to 100 drones, then that leaves you with only 100 army supply. And they may very well only have like 60 or so
Brenda's here.
probes. So I'm building 3 Vipers now. The Vipers are the key. The Vipers are how we deal with this. I'm gonna get some spores on the corner of the main. We're gonna move those queens back out here.
Mineral patch is gone, and it's not coming back.
Alright, the Vipers. Just start working on all this. Gonna get a Carapace upgrade, attack upgrade. It's gonna be Lurker Viper.
Your swarm is now
There's gonna be
bigger.
most of it. I'm mining as much gas as possible. It's a very gas-heavy army composition.
The swarm is threatened.
Alright. We're gonna move. I'm just shift-clicking off a few roaches here. The Vipers are almost full on energy.
Hide your queens. Hide your hives.
And the focus is on making sure he doesn't easily take a another base. The fourth base, to be clear. He knows this is coming. I didn't actually get adaptive talons, so that's a bit less than ideal,
Engage the
but
enemy. On purpose?
quick blinding cloud here.
Your brood's stronger now. You, on the other hand,
Pull the Colossi over. Pull as many disruptors as I can. Does he not have detection? That's another option. Is just relying on the fact that lurkers require detection.
maximum supply. Brenda is impressed. All done evolving. For now, anyway.
He's firing. He just, he didn't quite shoot himself in the face there, but.
Your brood is under attack.
Oh, he had another one.
Mutation
All
down.
right.
You can run faster and stronger
Well,
to your death.
we've rebuilt. I'm gonna get a greater spire now. Brood lords are definitely on the agenda. Oh, I built a lot more roaches than I thought. All right, well, we killed.
Mineral patch is
So the
gone.
big danger is the disruptors, of course. I gotta be a little careful about that, but make sure I have a few more vipers back at home.
Enemy is attacking your swarm.
All right, back up. We're gonna get some more
They're
corruptors.
creeping on your creep tumors.
Blinding cloud is gonna be kind of important
Don't
here.
find out if that mineral feed.
We're gonna get some consume action. I'm stacking up the injects, or queuing up the injects is more accurate terminology. More spawns. This is the point where it's like, you actually don't really want too many.
Base under assault. What would Brenda do?
Drones here, for sure. He can rebuild this. It costs less than the amount he just spent on zealots to rebuild it, so it's not too horrible.
Mind out of that cluster. And still in the game? Nice.
So we're gonna hack the game a little here.
Nope, no building there. No morphing there, my slimy friend.
I just need these spore crawlers, right?
You're at maximum supply, but I think you can fix that. Your extractor
Nope.
stopped, extracting?
$215 is a decent number. I have enough abducts for a whole lot of disruptors. Like, you just gotta be real careful here. He has DTs. He just fired a disruptor shot pretty much directly into himself. But he also has a whole lot. So we gotta back off. We gotta bring... Where did I put those corruptors? Okay, we gotta build broodlords. Unfortunately, but it is a necessity.
Under attack.
This is what I mean by, like, kind of forcing the issue is not ideal.
Your swarm is now bigger and broody. Creep tumors besieged.
Really don't want him to see these, ideally.
You must construct a spawn.
Well, we're gonna blinding cloud there.
Your brood's stronger now. A mineral field. Your base is under attack.
We're gonna pull the disruptors out. And now my job is to corner him. Like, he's gonna build a whole lot of zealots and try to counterattack. Or at least that's the usual method to deal with it. And it's my job not to let that happen.
They're creeping on your creep tumors.
Alright, this should be, especially with any blinding clouds, enough broodlords to essentially force the issue. In fact, let's bring the queens up here. I have a blinding cloud, so if he ever blinks underneath, we can throw the blinding cloud down and then use transfuse. He has DTs, but that doesn't help him kill the broodlords. Just keep transfusing them. Just make sure the queens stay on creep. They won't do it automatically. Not since the accident. We have one more blinding cloud here. What happened to... Did he target down all my overseers? Oh, no. I just moved them for some reason. Which was dumb. Well, we'll get there. It was a little messier than I wanted it to be. But honestly, instead of Mass Roach, it should have been Broodlords. Lurkers are okay, but they require a decent amount of micro. We went over! Oh my god. All I had to do was manage 3 different spellcasters. But it did push it over the top. So, the reason he was so strong is, like I said, he had 68 probes. So his army supply was constantly, like, well, besides when I hacked the game with the Spore Trick, 10 or 20 larger than mine. So, and since charge lots on their own are way more cost effective, you kind of have to eventually just corner him. But the people benefit. Was that 2? Yeah.
This is an alert.
WinterGame has gifted 2 subs to viewers.
I could have probably pressed the issue on the 3rd, I probably could have built a bunch of roaches and zerglings and overrun it. And I probably should have. In that I did another, like in the Protoss guide, I did a whole lot of examples of do as I say and not as I do. Because I kind of did what I described at the beginning of the game, which is default to this kind of more mid-game style. And then when it doesn't end the game, regret it.
You got
A
this.
lot of ZVZ.
One way or another.
No Terrans out. All the Terrans are higher diamond. Okay. Anecdotally. They're all diamond 1 and desperate to get to masters. But they never get there.
Minerals.
I'm sure we'll find them. Ranks countdown? Yes. You know, like in the Olympics where it's the opposite of the Olympics. Like in the Olympics, they have the person who comes in first gets
Not
third.
enough minerals. You can't do your disgusting morph there.
That's how it works.
You got no minerals. Good job.
Or
keeping
wait
that
a
money
sec.
down.
We're gonna do the 240 gas roach.
No minerals for that.
Once again. We have yet to get hit by an early pool. I think it's gonna be good to get hit by one. Even if it is annoying to deal with. I wanna at least try my hand at defending it. As we get further through Diamond, the low APM challenge becomes less of a guide and more of an actual challenge for me. Like, I am really trying to keep that limit, but it's gonna get further and further away from being educational and more like, where can I cut out building units and possibly regretting it? Because if you cut out building units or do it like creep spreading or whatever too early, then that ends up creating more issues later on. So he's got the hatch done. We'll just move the Ovi back. More drones here. It's almost time. We're gonna put these into gas. Get the second set of queens, another overlord. This one goes outside where I'll eventually have the third, hopefully. He has a queen, that's a Bane nest. Priority is seeing what he's using his gas on, if anything.
Brood needs friends.
And he just 3 in gas.
Threatened.
He's got Zergling speed on the way.
Your brood is under attack. Insufficient energy. Queen's all done. Good.
Rally over here. Who does that? That's an interesting play. Well, we're gonna wall up. On this map, you can wall off with 2 buildings, by the way, which is kind of unique. We're getting a lair. He used an overlord pathing that is pretty common in Zerg versus Terran or Protoss, but doesn't make much sense in ZVZ here. Gonna get behind this OV so it gets pushed away. It'll go the opposite direction of where it gets attacked if it doesn't get any further orders. So that's what we're using there. And go check on this side. He does not have a third. And he can't actually go through the center without taking down the rocks, so We're at 40. We're going to 45 drones. Get a few more OBs here. Start roach speed. Overlord on the corner of my main in case of Nydus. He's just now starting a third.
The enemy is attacking your swarm. Zerg.
Oh, it wasn't... We're actually just going to turn this into an Overseer to scout. If you turn it into an Overseer against one queen quick enough, it will finish and have full HP when it pops out. So,
You engage the enemy.
that is one way to save your OV as well.
Need more overlords.
Alright, so there's a pretty big risk of mutas here.
Under attack. Panic time.
Double Evo. I'm still making roaches at home. Let's see. Does he have these gases? I mean, unless he hid the spire somewhere, though. Maybe. Hidden spire. That was the thing more in Wings of Liberty, was dropping creep in a corner. And, using it to build like a spire.
Needs friends. More overlords,
But
please. Needs more
not... It just
evolution.
doesn't have the payoff. And
You must construct
nowadays. Getting +2 attack. We saw he was getting double Evo, so, like, it looks very much like he's going roaches. So we are gonna hit that third base. I'm gonna keep building roaches.
More happy Zerg.
This seems like a good sign. What the hell are those? Wait, was that an infestation pit? Oh my god, I just looked at him like, that's double Evo. I did not click on it. If I had clicked on it, I would have seen that there was an infestation pit and a Nydus. Which, you know, I probably should have enabled enemy unit selection in my brain. Wow, that was a big issue. I mean, the net result is the same. But oh wow, that's a big one. They are the same size and have the same look. But ooh. That's a lot to miss. That is a lot to miss. That would have given me... I would have done exactly the same thing. Okay? I would have done exactly the same timing. There would have been no, like... no change. But... I kind of just... I mean... None of the things I would have changed my build for look like Evo chambers. Like, if I saw yet a Spire... or a Bane Nest or something, maybe I'll... No, it was going to be a +1 roach timing. No matter what. Like, that was happening. New maps suck. The Terran player. Classic Terran.
J5 is now chilling.
He's using a
Well, here
Protoss
we go
logo.
again.
Oh, here we go again.
So I'm gonna go ahead and predict it's not his first account. Okay? Honestly, real 2 Rags vibe already. Like, real 2 Rags vibe. But in order to deal with the 2 Rags, all we're gonna do is just have, well, what I would have done anyways, which is put the Overlord right here. And then a 2 Rags comes in between about 1:35 and 2 minutes, depending on, or 2 or 3 Rags. And you'll see it. I'd rather not go looking for it and maybe miss it. I'd rather just know it's coming and respond to it then. I find that to be the more appropriate response most of the time. Thank you, JJ5. I'm actually gonna make, like, I've already got a weird vibe from him. So, yes, I am judging based on portrait and name. we're making a pool on 17.
Not
I
enough
usually would have
minerals.
made 1 or 2 extra drones on... I played this game a long time, guys. Make sure the ovies are fine. Yeah, he's back. That should be fine then. Like, that name plus that portrait,
Cooked up a fresh queen for you.
like,
The swarm is
so that's one of the, like, not default, but one of the early portraits you get that most people have. Indicates to me, yeah.
queen ready.
What are you guys
Time to start
doing?
the rumble. Not enough energy. You got no minerals. Keeping that money down.
So the problem with this is like
No minerals for that.
that was actually pretty rough for me. I didn't handle that perfect. Yeah, he doesn't have an expo, but he likely has a factory. We'll see.
New queen. Brenda's here, and she's disappointed. Spawn more overlords. Your brood needs friends. More overlords, please.
Okay. Well, he has an expo on the way. We're buying some space. Repairing is not expensive at all. It's 1/4 the cost. So
Need more
the
overlords.
repair is quite cheap. So my best bet is, you know, I'm gonna do a follow-up Roach timing. Oh, rip to Marines.
Not enough. You engage the enemy. On purpose?
Or at least I'll show him a Roach timing so he panics. And then we just get a third. Even better.
Nope. No building there.
He's gonna try to block the base. Should burn. Gonna get a lair on the low ground here. Kind of spread some OVs out to hopefully useful locations. Yeah, he's scared of the roaches, which was the intent.
Queen's all done. Good choice.
There's a non-zero chance of the battlecruiser follow-up. And it makes me think that since he sent both his barracks to scout, he has nothing at home. like, yeah, the Hellions, which has not precluded any of this so far. I'm actually going to cancel speed in favor of getting a Spire in a timely manner. Because I'm getting such a strong... Oh, Banshee. So, I was getting the Battlecruiser vibe. I was close, so a little off. But, close there. Generally the right idea, though.
You require more Vespian gas. You must construct and spawn more overlords. More overlords. You're brave.
Alright, we're gonna expand to both directions here. Oh, it's mech. Good, we scouted.
Not enough minerals. Are you
I didn't actually have that. I was not ready for that. Just a few Banes here. Get some creep. We'll stick with the Spire. How many drones do I have? About 60. Have the Changeling block here. What am I building here? Those are roaches. I can build 5 Mutas. It's enough to one-shot SCVs. That's the number we're looking for. And then... whatever.
Mineral field depleted. Your swarm is now bigger and broody.
So this is another one of those scenarios where I don't want to get caught, like, wasting time. We're gonna get Roach speed, we already got it. I'm gonna get to like 66 drones, which is full 3 base saturation. We're gonna get the infestation pit, but the focus is going to be on building roaches now.
Insufficient energy. You took all the minerals from that cluster, you thief. Not enough
A
energy.
liberator.
That's a no. Not there.
A cyclone?
Mutation
Have we tried just killing it? So the key to dealing with this style is to just keep him busy at all. So like, if he's gonna have to micro on multiple sides, which is gonna make things difficult, hopefully.
Mind out of that cluster. And still in the game? Nice. The swarm is threatened.
Oh, we also have some liberators here. We're gonna send the roaches up.
No minerals for that. A new queen is ready.
I gotta do a little target fire here.
Your brood is under attack.
Just run through a few corruptors as well.
You need more minerals. You got no minerals.
He's going mass liberator. So it's that one of the most annoying, yet not particularly strong Terran styles. Yeah, I'm getting the corruptors to help deal with the liberators directly.
Base under attack. Did you build it all in the main? Mineral patch is gone.
The real struggles for him will come with, you know, microing more than one place at a time.
The enemy is attacking your
I wouldn't be surprised to hear some salt at the end here. This is a very, like,
Attack. You're all mined out of that mineral field. It actually
or just no GG. So, I mean, I told you, you're Diamond Terran. New maps suck. Protoss Portrait. 2 ranks. Above 135. It was probably above 135. I also wasn't going to risk that guy winning. Okay, like, I was willing. I'm fully willing to go over just to make sure he was crushed. 240... So, this is what makes a salty Terran, by the way. He actually was higher diamond last year. He changed his name to New Map Suck this season. I lied. I thought this was a second account. No. He's played 500 games this season, and he's won about 50% of them. I went... there should be some cap. Like, it can't be more than 10. That's 7. Oh my god. Ah! Check his average game length. Well, he probably 2-rexes every
This
game.
is an alert.
Winter Gaming has gifted 7 subs
Oh,
to viewers.
TVT? He didn't 2-rex. Okay, alright. TVP, no 2-rex. He does go Cyclones. What about TVZ? What in the hell? It is no 2-rex. Oh, he D-ranks. He's D-ranking. And then he wins. Okay, well, wow, it's even more sad. Yeah, he just throws games. Can I get those subs back? Like, I think this was a extenuating circumstance. Well, they're already out there. Just helping. I'm just helping. Alright. He won 3 games. He's gonna have to make up for that. Back to the spawning pool. And back to the Zergs. I mean, obviously I'm a little hypocritical. Obviously I'm not Diamond.
Oh,
But...
here we go again.
But... if one of you plays 1 game for each game I play, not even like 10 of you, but if one person is motivated to play 1 game of
Not enough
StarCraft,
minerals. Are you saturated?
then we've at least reached net 0. And I hope I've encouraged at least 1 person to play more than 1 game. Otherwise, well, I hope at least they were entertained. And that is the intent. Maybe at some point we do a literally lowest APM challenge. The literally like, can I win a diamond game as Zerg with 16 APM kind of. But that will be not strategies I think you could take to the ladder and use, but instead, whatever quarters I can potentially cut. Thank you, Death Comp, Smiler.
Death Comp 31 is now chilling. Here's one back
And it's always weird with Zerg because it's so easy to go over a Zerg. Like, it's so easy to just... For me, I've played so many games as Zerg, and this is why in the chart here, just for a minute, we'll bring it up. Avoiding bad habits. Because creating habits more than Terran, more than Protoss by a large margin. Thank you, Sampa. Zerg, like, I don't think about it. That's why my APM goes up when I'm talking to you guys. It's because these things like creep spread, like injects. This is why Archon mode as Zerg is so hard as well. You know, Archon mode, when 2 players play as 1 player, the more competitive 1v1, but you have to work with another person, so it never took off because that sounds horrible. It's like the much worse co-op when it comes to emotional distress. Yeah, that. Archon mode on paper seems like a great idea, but in practice, especially for Zerg, especially if you have two Zerg players, they're both trying, like, it's an active effort to stop injecting, to stop creep spreading, to stop moving, like, building and moving your overlords out and stuff like that. Like, it is actually takes more thought to not do that than to do it. I would say even more than Terran or Protoss with their habits, so I think we'll start with a spine with that many wings. That's just, Zerg is all about making sure you're consistent. And that's why, like, most of the early game is build queens. Like, and it's not very exciting, but that is it. Like, there's that, whatever they're doing, build queens. Like, there's no downside. 4 or 5 queens will almost never be bad. Maybe in ZVZ? Potentially, but probably not still. Like, but there's almost nothing else to be done. Like, and it's not like you have to cut anything for queens either. Like, that's the beauty of it. Is they don't take larvae, and you usually already have those minerals anyways. So it's not just for noobs, it's literally everyone. They just kind of feel they have a lot of hats they wear. They wear them so well.
Not enough energy.
I was a little late on the layer there. Could you not? Okay, one space, as long as it's not. So when you use the build grid, and you should have the build grid turned on, you gotta make sure it's not the corners. So when you build a evolution chamber,
Minerals for that.
you see that top right, and as long as the corners aren't the ones touching, you're fine. But if you like, that's fine. That is a little dicier. That's fine. Like, you want to just make sure you have a nice 1x1 space.
This is an alert.
You need a 2x2 for Archons, which is always the drama with Protoss walls, because Archons cannot get through because their energy balls are too thick.
This game is tiring.
All right. He does have a Zergling here.
The enemies can't build there.
We're making more roaches. I gotta focus a little bit on this build, otherwise I'm gonna lose track of it.
More minerals.
He's gonna see the lair. Oh, he took the other third and I didn't check it. Ooh. Not ideal.
This is an alert.
Our DSN is now chilling.
Thank
I
you.
don't play a ladder, but I love watching
Not
us
enough
see you.
minerals. Are you
Thanks for asking.
saturated yet?
Glad you enjoy. So he's building roaches. He knows, he has a very good idea of what this is.
Not enough energy.
So I gotta keep that in mind. That doesn't necessarily mean I don't go for the roach attack at all. Like that it's still very much on the table. I'm actually gonna go out this way for now.
For now.
Because I should have an advantage on the upgrade timing. And if not, it's because I made a big mistake. But I should have speed and +1, which means I can pick the fight and win it. Like, I can pick a winning fight. There's +1. Start +2 immediately, so I guarantee that upgrade advantage. Yeah, he doesn't have +1, so that is a big, huge point here. I will keep fighting until I notice he has it.
Not enough minerals.
Inject,
Brood under attack.
and if he never gets it, I will just win the fight. +1 is required.
Minerals from that cluster, you see.
Did he just burrow his drones, or did he send them off?
Mineral patch is gone, and it's not coming.
Trying to help me out, bro? Do I need to A-click the main? Okay.
Wow.
Helping me out with the stat padding, which, okay, I didn't need it. But I wasn't sure. It was a bit of a dicey early game. But $188, and honestly, I think he was using most of it. Like, that was not a super spammy 188. It's just his build wasn't ideal. He was focused more on like Zerglings, and he overdroned, but it wasn't like he was just endlessly microing lanes. But you simply, if you're gonna go roaches, you either need an overwhelming amount or you need +1. You need to be close on the upgrades. It is kind of hard to go for speed into a third base. I doubted this timing a lot at the higher levels as well. Like, even though you know it's coming, it's an all-in, kind of. Not even that all-in, but it's pretty all-in. Like, you need to do something. Even if you know it's coming for like several minutes, managing the right amount of drones and using your larva and making sure you have like the right position, because if you go for a third and you got Zergling speed, that's several hundred minerals and at least 100 gas that you've spent on things that are probably not going to help very much in defending the roaches.
Not enough minerals.
You got to manage how long it takes their roaches to get across the map, and the larva production of your third. And it can be done. Watch every Cyril versus Raynor series with the back and forth on stuff like that. But it's a very small, it's very punishing. If you overdrone like 5 too many drones, you just simply cannot, you physically cannot get enough roaches to fight. You make 5 too few, they actually have a better economy. Because if you built a third and you built like other buildings, like, or maybe a spine or two, you might actually have less drones than them. So that's why it's so strong, is it just hits that window where a player is liable to get just a little too greedy. And it's not reliant on surprise. That's part of it. Like it's not a gotcha build. Most players know it's coming. Like it does not come as a surprise that they have roaches. I mean, I'm building the roach one at the ramp, so. All right, he made, I believe, 8 lings here, so.
Hatchery cooked up a fresh queen for you.
I need to buy time here until the queen pops out.
Good choice.
This is an earlier pool, but he doesn't have speed right now, so.
Spawn more overlords.
What do we do to counter this? We make more queens and get the gas. He's just building more legs. He just keeps building legs.
You can't do your
All right.
disgusting.
We're gonna build another spine. He's building Banes. Alright, well. We're gonna wall off the spine crawler with evolution chambers here. Which is something I very rarely do.
New queen. Runda's here. She's disappointed.
Transfuse. but I think this is one of the situations that calls for it. Yeah, there you go. All right, more queens.
Queen's all done. Good choice.
So, those lings, I'm in an awkward spot. I built a lot of lings, even lings I didn't really need there.
You must construct spawn.
I think it's kind of obligatory to get Zergling speed now.
Your brood needs friends. More overlords, please.
No matter how this is going down.
More overlords.
But another key... Oh.
I've been waiting.
He just kind of decided, you know what? I guess not. He's still at 18 drones, so... I think he just... That was it. That was the whole thing. So we're getting quite a spread of ZVCs. And I'm trying to give you guys... My ZVC is a bunch of Lingbane Micro. And I'm actually pretty proud of it. I have an 80% win rate in ZVC at the higher level. With 300 to 400 APM Lingbane Micro. And I'm going to go ahead and say, like, I don't think your average Diamond Leaguer should try to emulate that. So this is your just solid defensive style of... And most players will, in Diamond, try to just get the win. They'll try to do what he did. But a solid Roach timing with good Overlord placement is much more reliable and much less dependent on your opponent screwing it up. So... Is Ling Speed still necessary? Well, I only got Ling Speed because I built a bunch of extra Lings that I didn't mean to. I had like... When you get like 24 Lings at some point, well, without Ling Speed, they're literally useless. I think at that point it's worth investing in them, especially since you know you have a better economy anyways. Like, that's the worker count, so... What's the tipping point? When the amount of Lings you have goes from a bit to a decent bit, it's right there. So just write that down. If you want a number, I'd say like 16. But it depends on the situation. Like if I made 24 links and I had mass Roach with 30 drones, I wouldn't give a shit. I'd be like, oh my god, I can't believe I made those links, whatever. But if I make those links in ZVZ when I know I have more drones than my opponent, there's no reason not to use the advantage.
Remember, don't panic.
We found a Terran! And you know what? I don't think this guy's gonna 2-Rex. And so, in that game against the clearly spicy player, I didn't actually do anything. The only thing I did was make my pool a little earlier. Would you have sent those links across? Well, a lot of the time, players will get desperate, and they'll just do it again. They'll just come out like they'll wait. Yes, I'm actually #1 EU. You know Finland? Just hold knowing you have better eco, yeah. The Zergling speed is partially if he just tries to get greedy and keep him honest. It's not a big deal either way. It's not that much of an investment. Like, it's only because you're usually going for such a sharp timing that you skip it. So he's sus. You mean people don't name themselves things like Macrosoft? Alright, I paid $69 billion for this game. And then some others. Alright, I'm not letting it go to waste. God damn it. We should have known.
That's a no. Not there.
I didn't get the vibe at all.
No morphin there, my slimy friend.
I'm slipping. Hello. Oh, he is a Terran, so.
New queen.
Wow. Like, why do all Terrans? I'm not gonna say all Terrans, but
Fuck this game, man.
it does something to people. It's not healthy. It's not a healthy. It's not. Oh, Diamond Terrans. He played 1 minute ago. He lost. Wait. How did he play another game? He won in 0 seconds. He already got into another game and won in 0 seconds. Against 2 different people. What is going on here? What the fuck? He proxy wrecks this guy. What a mess. He plays a lot of games. He's played... no, this is him. For some reason, it shows the wrong person. I don't know. Jesus. Oof. Last season, he was Masters 3, but that might have been the bug? I don't... Wait, let's see what his MMR was. Yeah, it was a Master... It was the bug. Wait. He was Masters 3 as Protoss. With 2,700 MMR. God damn it, Bobby. God damn it, Bobby. Oh, this rank... It's a problem. That guy with a Masters finish now, despite finishing in what should have been Platinum. It's just like a permanent issue now, because so many people were in the wrong league at the end of some of these seasons. This game is not easy to play in the short or long term. Okay. The only reason people do is there's nothing like it. Do you want to feel as abandoned as Terran players in their childhood? Well, play StarCraft 2 today. TVZ! SC2 chat keeps me from playing. There's chat? You know you can just turn it off.
You got this.
Honorable Zerg or
One
Cheezer?
way or another.
None of the Zergs have felt weird. Like, they've all done within the normal range of what you'd expect from Zerg players of this level. The Terrans have clearly just...
You got no minerals.
Well... And here we are. Are you ever going to go back to AoE 4? AoE 4 has actually gotten some great updates. They added hotkeys for a lot of things. You can now cancel like production with a hotkey, not escape, but as opposed to clicking on the little buttons, you can zoom out more. They rebalanced a lot of stuff, like how your town centers don't automatically shoot at rams, and it still feels like playing a slightly upgraded version of Brood War, but with like somehow worse animations. The game feels like I'm playing constantly at 350 ping, because the tick rate is 1/3 of SC2, so that means your units literally respond so goddamn slow. And that is not something I think will ever be changed, because that's just like a core engine issue. But it is a lot better than when it released. It released at least a year too early, and it's been 9 months, so... It is fun for team games. It's a good casual RTS. It's the Honda Civic of RTS. All right, fun for the whole family, as long as they're not looking for anything too sporty.
You got no minerals. Good job keeping that money down.
Why is that drunk?
Not enough minerals.
If you're 45 years old and you want to get your 12-year-old child into video games, AoE4 is for you. That's real sus, that drone. In ZVZ, that could be more shenanigans. I'm probably gonna play some more AoE4 tonight. My favorite game to hit. It's so close. Like, it's actually a good game in concept. It's just, it feels so bad to play. Like, I don't think the gameplay is bad. I just think, it just is so hard for me as like a long-term StarCraft 2 player to tolerate how bad in comparison the engine is. But it is fun. Like, it's just really, really... It grinds my gears. Okay? It does. But for 10 or 15 bucks, apparently you can use a VPN to change your... to a different country that maybe it's a little bit cheaper, and then you can get it for like 15 bucks on Steam. Not that not that you heard it from me, but that is apparently the current efficient build.
You must construct, spawn more overlords.
So wait a second, the role reversal here. Oh, I didn't build Ovies. Oh my god.
A new queen is ready.
I'm starting to lose it. We're going on 2 hours here. I'm going on tangents. Probably 1 or 2 more games for this episode of the LOW APM challenge. Trying to keep it like 2-ish hours. I want to take this time. Like, you're watching the end of the LOW APM challenge. You're paying attention right now. Either on stream, or paying attention to some extent. Either on stream or the video. So you can go back and look at it all. It'd be awesome if you could check out my second channel. Yes. Where, yeah. Okay. Full disclosure. Loco just shared the info of his editor for the More Loco channel. So it's literally the same thing. It's going to be playthroughs of games. Like, maybe a different style of games. Maybe with a little bit more excitement. Because it's me, not Loco. But, so... just be awesome if you could subscribe. And I do plan on doing some dedicated videos like SC2 Arcade sort of videos. And just like stuff that I probably wouldn't post on this channel. WinterStarcraft, which is a little bit more competitively multiplayer focused. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy fun games. Alright? So, there you go. Check it out. Be awesome if you subscribe. More background noise besides the LOW APM challenge if you're into that. Doing custom campaigns, that's definitely on the table. That actually makes a ton of sense. In fact, that's what inspired me to ask Loco about it.
Started watching the
Was
LOW
like,
Zerg on YouTube. Happy coincidence. What are the consequences of injecting larvae instead of spreading creep?
I think most people should inject larvae instead of spreading creep. Only at the very highest level does getting that creep spread started matter. Because only against like Clem or like Beyond or something do you really need to worry that much. The inject helps you jumpstart your economy a little bit quicker. You got to be careful to actually have the money for it as the injects are popping off. So Like, a lot of players just default to the creep tumor now, but you got to think about what you're trying to actually accomplish with it. That is actually a very good question. Queen energy management, even, well, the way to manage energy for most people is just build enough queens, but the first few queens are a big deal. Alright. So this is a bit awkward, because we finally found a mirror match here.
Mutation finished.
I've got speed done.
And the swarm is threatened.
I'm gonna start my +2. He doesn't actually have... So the queens are doing a great job of tanking damage here as well. This is, yeah, go ahead, kill those Ravagers. It's fine by me. So he microed. Classic mistake.
Need more minerals.
So what should have been a pretty even fight. Does he have +1? He doesn't. Wow, that was just no +1 either. You just shot your active tumor, but I also shot a bunch of roaches, so I'll manage. I'm gonna have to micro bit here, because
That's a no. Not there. You're all mined out. Need more.
banelings are scary, but that +1 is very important. He built a baneling nest, clearly.
The enemy is attacking your actually not this time.
Is Bronze League Hero considered competitive? So at this point, YouTube is very punishing to me. I've noticed. Like, some videos do amazing, but like, if I post not even like if I post a video of my gameplay, it might do well, but then the next video I post, they're like, no, you did not get, like, because some people won't click it. Even if some new people do, it's very hard to branch out after you have 2,000 videos of relatively the same things. So yeah, that came down to I had +1, he did not, and I had more roaches. So +1 plus more roaches equals victory. I'd love to play. You know what? Do we have? This is our first opportunity. Do we have any low, like, platinum to low diamond Terrans? I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you not to 2 rags, please. In the Winter SC2 group chat. So that, like, we need, like, these Terrans out here are not... Now, maybe I'm just giving you a realistic slice of the latter demographic, but I'd like to mix it up just a little bit. So... Yes, on my way. Belrofinen has been a big supporter of the stream, and also a Diamond Terran, I believe so. Well, we'll get him involved. And this will be our last match. They'll take some questions, and then we'll wrap it all up for this newly Diamond version of the Low APM challenge. I'm going to continue working my way towards Master, though I'm sure it's going to be more and more difficult as time goes on. ZVZ, do you want to take the third in front of your first, or the third next to the natural? Another great question. You want to take... So there's linear and triangle thirds on almost all maps. Let's see if I can... So, here you go. This is the linear third, starting here. Nope. Bring the screenshot back. Starting here. The linear third, the triangle third. I'd say about 90% of the time you want to take the linear third, because especially against Terran and against Zerg to an extent, because, well, the linear third usually has a better choke point and is a little further away from your opponent's main. You did say in ZVZ, but it's just a good habit to get into. Against Terran, you want to take it there because otherwise... Like, let me reference Solar versus Beyond, I believe it was, where Solar took the triangle third and Beyond just dropped the main back and forth like 7 or 8 times. because it's threatening both bases at once, which is not the ideal. You do not want someone to be able to just drop the base. Yeah, there you go. Good luck. What's the best way to deal with mass Thors? If you can't beat them, hire them. Unironically, the best way is Broodlords and then Infestors. Not for Fungal, for Neuroparasite. What's the best way to deal with 2-racks? Well, understand they're a Diamond Terran, so they're already 2-racksing. If you know it's only a 2-racks, you pull drones. If it's a 3-racks, you probably wait to defend your natural. If you can pull like 3 drones and stop it before the racks finish, like if you can kill at least an SCV, you should do that. But if you're not going to stop it before the racks finish, then you just hold the high ground. Like, you want to try to deny the bunkers, and that's why you put the second Overlord here at the front, because even though I told him not to 2-racks, it's just a good habit to get into. That way you can see if they're SCV scouting, and then between about 1:35 and 2 minutes is when SCVs will come in to try to build bunkers near your natural. And you will have, hopefully, enough warning to at least pull drones, if not start building lings and deal with that. So, if it's a 4-racks, well, 1, it's unlikely you're going to know that in time. Though, if you see more than 2 SCVs, that usually gives it away. Some players will pull extra SCVs, but if they pulled more than 2 SCVs, even if you don't see how many racks, it's probably an all-hands-on-deck situation. Like, you want to buy as much time as possible. Ideally, you get queens out, but you can't let a bunker finish if you can avoid it. If the bunker's going to finish, you may have to retreat to high ground. It's tough. Like, you get essentially, it boils it down to having 1 or 2 good chances to break it. Past that, it becomes incredibly inefficient, or you outright lose. So, yeah, I added the Brood War sounds for the viewer game because I like them. So, I wish, like, I would have paid great money for a Brood War sound pack in SC2. Like, just for yourself, not, like, for anything else. This is just a custom mod someone made by using the sounds from Brood War and uploading them into a custom, like, map extension mod. So.
No minerals for that. You got no minerals.
I find Brood War to just be, like, everything's so recognizable. Like, you can tell what is doing well, like the Zergling attack and the Zealot attack, stuff like that. In SC2, it's a little more realistic. So sometimes it can be difficult to tell exactly what's going on from the sounds.
More overlords, more heavy. Queen ready. Brenda's ready to rumble. Your brood needs friends. More overlords, please.
Sir? Ah!
This is an alert.
Dracos is now
Queen's all
chosen.
done.
Hey,
Good
Winter.
choice.
I hope that today has been going well for you. Tomorrow is either going to go good or horrible. Tends to happen
Happy
on my
birthday!
Ladies and gentlemen,
Ha! Kick their asses.
we got him.
Game over.
Not enough minerals. Are you saturated yet?
We got the Reaper. Essentially GG. Alright, pretty much GG.
Heck, no minerals for that.
Why didn't he GG? That's a good... I paid him. Alright. To get a Terran player to stay in the game after that is not cheap. So please subscribe. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the second channel. Check out Patreon. Check out Dronely fans.
Evolution.
Okay?
Spawn more.
Like, support the channel. Buy some merch. Mug. Waifu pillow. Whatever. I don't know. I gotta... Maybe,
You must construct spawn.
SoundCloud.
Brood under attack. More overlords. can't build there.
Yeah.
More overlords.
Most of those things exist for me, so...
Queen ready. Brenda's ready.
It's not actually sarcasm, but for realsies, though. Spore 20. I haven't had Spore 20 much today because, well, we played so many Zergs. And also, all the Terrans too rexed. And then all the Protoss, well, many of the Protoss were clearly not going Stargate. So, it's been a very early game day.
You engage the enemy. Again.
Oh no, he's gonna get the creep. Get off, Brenda!
There's a notification for this?
I don't actually have any Ovies to my main, which is not ideal. I'm actually gonna get a Spine over here. This is pretty suspicious. I have not seen any air, which means the battlecruiser senses are tingling here. I'm gonna get a Spire. He tried to split his Hellions, but he just kind of lost them on one side, so that wasn't ideal. Gonna target fire the Hellions. We're gonna get Bane speed.
A new queen is ready. You can't do your disgusting.
Get another bit. Well, I already got another. We're gonna go for the gold over here. I need to get a Roach Warren just in case. Alright, let's just kill the Hellions and then figure out what's happening. How many drones do I have? 77, which is exactly way too many.
Hatchery cooked up a fresh queen.
Widow memes.
You must no more from there.
He hasn't showed any of his secrets yet. Rally the drones. More drones.
All done evolving. For now, anyway.
Gonna get the Carapace upgrade here.
You engage the enemy. A mineral on purpose?
He still hasn't done anything. Do something. Show me your units. The fact he's building. Okay. Jesus. I need to make sure I have creep to these bases. It's important to have... This is probably the most important matchup for creep as well. Just in general. We're gonna get some spores and spines in the main. Static defense, especially for Zerg, is not to kill, but it's to buy time and distract. Because a lot of the time, you're not going to be able to kill the medevac with the spore. But you're going to soften it up and the queen finishes it off. Or you're going to at least slow down the marines and marauders or whatever. So that way, you can kill them with your units. That's the key part. But they're for buying time. And just slowing everything down. Getting as many Hydras as I can afford. He's got all this. So that's a single drop. That might not be his whole army here. But once again, we're here to buy time. I'm gonna leave some Zerglings there. Control click the Hydras onto the medevac. I saw something on this other corner. Hive is done. I'm just gonna get a few lurkers, especially at this level. A few lurkers against someone who hasn't even started thinking about ghosts yet is a game-winning move. It's not even like a game changer, it's a game winner. If I'm able to get like 10 upgraded lurkers, and he's still sitting on M-based units, well, it's a tough time.
You require more.
Building a bunch more Zerglings. Range or speed first with Hydraling Bane? I would say speed on everything. There's a reason that almost every unit Zerg owns has a speed upgrade. And it's because closing the distance is the most important thing. I would say if you're for sure playing defensive with Hydras, you go for range. But because you're playing with Ling Bane and not Roaches, having range isn't that big a deal because you still want to be right behind your Ling Bane anyways, right? So... Well, it's time for the big reveal. So we may have some Widow Mines, so I'm going to go ahead, split the Zerglings like this, to just try to draw that out. This is a bit of a sloppy engage, but... So he does have the Liberators here. Gonna control click the Banelings. Go ahead and move. He does have the Hydras, which are a poor substitute. Or the Liberators, which are a poor substitute for Ghosts. Didn't I already build a Spire because I thought he was going Battlecruiser at some point? I did. We can also get some Vipers just to pull them out.
Nice.
That's a Widow Mine drop. I hate Widow Mines.
You take. The swarm is
He's microing this, so I may have time to just get through. Is there anything else I need to be doing right now? Not part. Oh, maybe attacking my own lurker with Banelings. How about that? That's a good idea. Very smart player.
You took all the minerals from that cluster.
A lot of people wouldn't have said attack your own lurker with your Banelings, and that just tells you how much higher level I am.
You're all mined out of that mineral.
A few more. Oh my god. We're gonna shift click a few. And now this is actually very useful. Control shift click as well. Like say I wanted to split off the Zerglings. Control shift on the Zerglings. Splits the Zerglings off my selection. It is one of the most useful keys I actually learned doing the low APM challenge of all things, so. Just this time around. Alright, sir. Please stop. Does he have range? I'm not sure. Either way. Bring the Overseers.
A mineral field has been depleted. Mutation finished.
We're bringing the Vipers. Go right up the center here. Oh, and I never... Just pulling the Liberators out.
Still in the game? Nice. Under attack. Panic time. Mineral patch is gone, and it's not coming back. You're all mined out of that mineral field.
I never got the Lurker speed.
Your swarm's as big as it can get. Oh my.
We're gonna go for the bases instead of, like, the entrenched position down there.
Your brood
This is pretty sloppy, but looks like the spine crawlers did what they were supposed to do, which is slow them down. And, oh, I went way over. I thought I did. Hydraling Bane, Lurker, with Queen, it is. Well. So that is what? 6? Ah! Tough. In Silver, you said not to build Lings. Are they mainly just attack? Well, we're not in Silver anymore, Dorothy. There was a time when I would have said never build Lings until Masters. Fortunately or unfortunately. Roaches are just too figured out. Too many players, in my opinion. At the diamond level, like, you're just hamstringing yourself in too many ways when you don't build Zergling Baneling. Even your average diamond player can multitask against roaches, I would say. This is different than
This is an
a
alert.
couple years ago, where it was a little bit more, even a higher diamond a couple years ago. I think it was still pretty difficult to pull off Roach Hydra, but now it is nearly impossible, in my opinion, to get to Masters without at least thinking about Zerglings. I'm sure you could get there with just Roaches. I'm very sure. And it would have lower APM, but this is not so much about the lowest APM possible, but about streamlining and just maximizing efficiency. And the key was, before, we didn't use Zerglings. We didn't need them, so we didn't build them just for the sake of it. Now, they're useful to have, so we're adding them in when they can be used. That's called learning. That's called progression. That's called building on, well, don't take my word for it, take my words for it. Avoiding bad habits, but reinforcing good habits. Like adding Zerglings in to fill out the unit composition and cover for Hydra Lurker in ways that Roaches share a lot of the same vulnerabilities that Hydras and Lurkers do. Lings and Banes, not so much. Like, Roaches are also ranged, so they're vulnerable to things like the same sorts of splash damage, whether it's tanks or storm or even other Lurkers. Lings and Banes get in those hard-to-reach places. But at the same time, they are a lot harder to use and a lot more larva-intensive. And if things are more larva-intensive, that means you're more reliant on injects. And if you're more reliant on injects, that means you have to be better about your queen management. If you have to be better about your... Everything kind of ties into it. It's not easy. Zerg is a whole lot of stuff. It's essentially... We've done a few of watching Cyril in first person. And a lot of people don't even see it. Like, you have to slow it down, go frame by frame. Because he splits off, he injects like 6 hatcheries, builds around a Zergling, spreads his creep. It's all done in like 1.4 seconds. Now, on a good day, it maybe takes me 2 or 3. Which doesn't sound like a lot more, but it adds up. Since you're doing that every 30, 40 seconds. For a Platinum or Diamond player, they may never actually do all of that. At least not back-to-back and not within a 10-second span. So... but making sure we focus on that first, and then filling in the unit composition. I think this is just a long-winded way of saying Zerglings aren't bad, they just create bad habits, and that's what we try to avoid. You gotta think about, what do I want these Zerglings to accomplish? Not, I guess I'm building Zerglings. Like in that game, I wanted my Zerglings to deal with any early attacks, which can come out at like 7 minutes. I wanted them initially to help deal with Hellions, and then if there's a medevac drop, or even a timing, I need an option for Banelings, or just to defend the drop. And then later on, they're to cover for the Hydras and the Lurkers, and make it so that the Bio Army can't close the distance on my much more expensive units. When do you stop making Queens? Great question. When I find out, I'll let you know. How do you prioritize Evo Chamber upgrades? 95% of the time it's attack, And if you're building Lings and Banes, it's melee attack. The melee attack upgrade has a tendency to pay off, especially for Banelings. Much harder than the ranged attack. The exception, a lot of the time, is ZVZ, but in ZVZ you're usually going Roaches or Roach Hydra. You're usually not going for like Roach Ling, at least not as often. So, I thought you may have used them to help with the Hellions. Were you not confident with the Queens? Queens are not very fast. They're not agile. And they can't be turned into Banelings. So they do have some weaknesses. So what is the scenario? The scenario I was expecting potentially was a battlecruiser jumps in the main, I have to bring my Queens away, and then he has like a Hellion or Hellbat push at the third, because he built 8 Hellions, and he showed nothing else, which could just be greedy, could be a battlecruiser, you don't know. But there's a scenario where the Queens can't be where they need to be. So you do need something else. What's the best way to deal with a large amount of Widowmines? First is not just moving into them. Lurkers are good. If you're desperate, speed overlords can be dragged over the top. I don't think splitting Lings, like after you see them, is the best response. But honestly, just sending... If you ever watch Tom Zerg, Cyril, Solar, Raynor, Doc, they always send waves of Banelings. They don't... When possible, they don't send all their Banelings on the move. It's like they send 20 Banelings or 15 Banelings, and then they have another wave of 15 Banelings, because it still forces a big response, but you haven't committed all your defense. So when possible, you want to play it like a tower defense against, and this goes for Widowmines as well. I think I was already talking about Widowmines, but ideally you kind of stagger your defense, because also the Terrans, eventually they have to reinforce their army for one. And 2, if they keep stimming, then that keeps softening up their army as well. So, that is why you'll see waves of Banelings instead of just, let's all go. And then, of course, occasionally, like if an upgrade is finishing or if they're desperate, everyone goes. But ideally, you're sending waves, and that's definitely a higher level thing. But when should you upgrade your hatchery to lair from lair to hive? Is it in response? Now, that is a very simple and very big question. I'd recommend looking at the very beginner guide, the first episode for that, where we go in depth about it. Someone suggested Broodlords as a counter to nothing but Widowmines. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of counters to nothing but Widowmines. Spine Crawlers are a counter to nothing but Widowmines. Lurkers, Broodlords, like, I don't think going Broodlords as a response to a Widowmine player is ideal. Ultras can do fine. Yeah, they get hit by them, but it takes like 5 or 6. Are Swarm Hosts a decent answer to mech? Yes, but you're not going to be able to use them well enough. In my opinion. Swarm Hosts are a lot of work to make work. They're very good, but there's a reason you rarely even see even top pros. Like, only Dark seems to really make great use of them. Because Dark just kind of... I don't know. That's how we do. Mech is like Mass Broodlord Infester. And then either Neural Parasite... or just doing whatever you can to keep them at bay. But, like, we're talking 30 Broodlords here against the mech. Honestly, there's no real cost-efficient counter to late-game Terran. If they can micro at all... there's only the attrition-based ones, where you like try to deny them getting 1 or 2 more bases, so that way they can't get the economy to continue fighting. There is no all-out counter to mech, especially mech with Ghost, but you can grind it down. Yeah, the Swarm Host versus mech, you actually have to micro the Swarm Host, and also not micro... Like, Swarm Hosts are one of the most micro-intensive units in the game. And it's very easy to just... So, option 1, you make Swarm Hosts, they don't die, but you use them poorly, and now you have 50 supply, which is only like 16 Swarm Hosts. You have 50 supply that just does nothing. Like, you just got 50 supply doing nothing. Option 2, you select all army or you're out of position, and your swarm hosts get like 1 or 2 waves off and then die. And now you've spent all that money and didn't really do anything. Option 3, you spend 5 to 10 minutes grinding them down, getting like 2 tanks and maybe a Thor each wave until you finally they run out of money. Yes. How should you counter air toss when they began early attack upgrades? The upgrades are not particularly relevant. Air toss, we actually didn't see any late game here. I was kind of scared of the late game because personally I struggle with it. But the answer, I would recommend watching. I cast Dark versus Estrella, and once again, Dark is kind of just a different. You can't really emulate him, but the answer is Viper Corruptor Broodlord. The Viper Corruptor for knocking out any, like, if they don't have Templar or Archons, you just kill them. Like, Corruptors do counter carriers and pretty much anything in the air, especially with Vipers, if they don't have Templar. If they have Templar, it gets more difficult. That's where the Broodlords and Zerglings and stuff goes in. Why does no one use Neural or Shroud? You do see Microbial Shroud occasionally. You don't see Neural because Neural is a channeled ability. And it doesn't have it doesn't have a ridiculous range. It has the range of a carrier. So you Neural one carrier, and you know what happens? If they have any detection, or if you're not burrowed, then they just kill it. And it does nothing. Which is not ideal. No. Would box selecting Corruptors be helpful like you would Mutas if they have Templar? At some point, you just gotta go. You gotta make them storm themselves. I'll show you what Dark did, and it's not easy. Like, it's not easy. I would say the most fun and most exciting way is just go for Neural Parasite and try to hope they don't have detection. But you can definitely avoid these Super Turtle games. You're not facing Estrella. You're not facing Neeb. You're not facing Hero. You're facing someone who probably doesn't even have a single control group. So you can probably find an opportunity. In my opinion, Zergs do have to work harder. 90% of the time in the late game, they have to work harder. But they also technically have a better army. It's just you have to make it work for you. And that's the hardest part. Alright. Here's some nerd. And most importantly, you aren't Dark. But that doesn't mean it's useless to look at how he plays. It's just try to see what's realistic for you.
Death. They had... Oh my, doesn't matter. To look at. It's beautiful, but...
Let's see.
Dark with some tower defense banelings over here. Meanwhile, the carrier army, another carrier, another one. He gets all 3. The banelings are distracting Estrella. Immortals are quite a counter. More coming in. Dark. Oh my god, he's so good. Like, Estrella is no pushover at all. This is really not forward Estrella. So essentially, Dark spends 15 minutes, Attack.
including
water balloons.
Oh my god. He spent 15 minutes losing bases and slowly but surely picking off things until he could take a decisive fight. As Stalkers, this might be one of those games a dismantle. So that is how that went.
7,000 more gas and nearly 10,000.
Let's see if we can find... Yeah, here we go. Here's how you actually take the fight. And Estrella doesn't have a ton of army here, but the concept is the same. We're about to see it. It's this part. And this is what you should try to emulate, if possible.
Templar Expeditionary Force here. One of the most intimidating looking, like...
So he's got like 15 Broodlords, like 25 Corruptors,
oh my god,
a few Vipers,
on the Templar. The Templar could have feedbacked all 3 of them to death. To death. They had...
And then
oh my,
parasitic bomb
doesn't matter anymore.
on the carriers, and then you move the carriers. You move your corruptors directly. So yeah, it all happens very quickly. Parasitic bomb on the carriers, which doesn't do that much damage. But then you move your corruptors over the carriers, so the interceptors on the corruptors go through the parasitic bomb, and it actually kills them. It only takes 2/3 of a parasitic bomb to kill interceptors. They have 40 HP and 40 shields. Parasitic bomb does 120 damage. Yes, you are getting fucking murdered by Archons. That's always the tough part. And if they storm your corruptors, they're damaging their interceptors as well. So it's hard, because if they have too many Archons, or if you don't quite get it all together, it becomes less reliable. But that's where the Broodlords come in. But in that case, Dark realized he just had enough army to deal with it. But yeah. So simply, you make them storm themselves and hope you come out on top. It's not easy. And I think 90% of the time, even at Diamond, you can avoid getting to that stage. But sometimes, like, that's what you're looking at. Could you do the same thing with Overlords instead of Corruptors? Then how did the Carriers die? What kills the Carriers if you send a bunch of Overlords in? The point there is, the Interceptors all die, which means the Corruptors and Broodlords clean up the rest of the army, because the Interceptor count is too low. If the Overlords are sent in with the Corruptors, the Interceptors will just attack the Corruptors anyways. This isn't AoE 4. Your units have brains. They won't just attack like a building or a unit that's not shooting at them. They will go for the nearest threat, which is part of the reason Interceptors are so annoying to deal with. Is because they're almost always the nearest threat, as opposed to the Carrier or anything else like it. Overlords are not a threat, except emotionally. And they're uncomfortable to be around. And in Carbot, but otherwise. Alright, well, I think that'll wrap it up. We got 2.5 solid hours. I played 11 or 12 games. It was just, quicker games today. A lot of salty Terran. Thank you, Belarov, again. And thank you guys for watching the Low APM challenge. Stay tuned. What didn't I explain very well? Have you liked and subscribed? Have you checked out the second channel? Wake up! The video's ending! Don't let the Loco video autoplay. You gotta click. There's a playlist in the description. You can go back. It's alright. Like, they're supposed to be independent. You don't have to watch them in order. The idea is each is just kind of like... they're each an entree. Okay? Like, you don't have to go... It'd be fine to watch them from first to last, but also you can pick out whichever level you think you need help with, or stuff like that. So, thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. I hope I made a decent chunk of your day a little bit better. Stay chill.